Hey guys, Political Junkie 2414 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be covering two different elections. One that is actually about to happen tomorrow night, and another that's we've had some big news. I guess you could say some big revelations on that on the other election. But before we get into that, I wanted to wish you all a happy President's Day. Sorry I have not been very active in that I didn't make a lot of posts this weekend. I was just very exhausted from stuff that's been going on in my personal life, and also I have just been really busy. But I also wanted to say, wanted to wish, Jimmy Carter and his former President Jimmy Carter and his family, I wish them the best during this dark time for them. Carter has reportedly been, he's on hospice care. It looks like that he is going, that he is in his final days, unfortunately, and it's very sad. He's still alive yet. I hope that he's still alive right now, as at the time of this recording. But I truly hope that he does get better. But unfortunately, it does seem like uh you know Carter is in his final days, and I wanted to say that I am very fond of the former president, and everything that he has done in his very long political career. He has lived a very long life, and I my my I want the Carter family is in my thoughts and prayers. So getting into the topics of today's video. First we're going to be talking about the 2023 or the special election in Virginia's 4th congressional district that will be happening tomorrow on February 21st. And then we're also going to be talking about the California Senate race and Dianne Feinstein's decision to retire. So first of all, we're going to be going over the Virginia special election. So this is going to happen tomorrow, and there's not a lot of this is not really an election that is, competitive really at all. This is a safe Democratic district. I think it voted for Joe Biden by around, 30 points, maybe a little bit less. But the incumbent here, Don McEachin, who had served the district for about 6 years. He was reelected in 2022, but surprisingly, he got reelected by 30 points in last November. But just a couple weeks after the election, he unexpectedly passed away due to colon cancer. And it was it was a pretty it was a pretty shock. It was pretty shocking, I think, to a lot of people. Considering McEachin was so young. Death is never something you can really predict, but when it happens to someone who's only 61, it is very I guess unexpected is the right word. But either way, there is going to be a congressional election to fill his seat tomorrow. And as I said, this is a safe blue district. The Democratic nominee is Jennifer McClellan. She is a state senator. She is more than 99%. She's 100% going to win this race. It's down in Richmond. It is it pretty much covers all of Richmond. It's very diverse, very Democratic leaning, and the Republican Leon Benjamin does not stand a chance. But the interesting thing that's, I think that the one thing, to watch out for is, see the margin that McClellan wins by, to see, how, just, I guess, to see, what the electorate looks like. And, we haven't had any polling for this race, so this is not really an election where we can get, any, like, evidence of how polling errors are going to work out. But I'm sure that we will have, we will have, of course, the governor elections in November of this year, and we'll also probably have another House special election or two. But the reason why I brought this election up is because of what it does to the House, and how it makes it kind of easier for Democrats, in terms legislative wise. So this is the current map of the House of Representatives right now. Republicans hold 222 seats, Democrats hold 212, and Don McEachin's seat is vacant. So right now, since there are 218 votes needed for a majority, Democrats would need, in order to pass some legislation, or some liberal, I guess, liberal-minded law, they would need six Republicans to come on board, or bipartisan legislation. But either way, they need six Republicans to come on board with them in order to get the 218 that they need. However, once they, once this seat has been filled by McClellan, which will not be tomorrow or Wednesday, I think that it takes a couple of weeks for you know the uh, the representative to the seat to actually be filled. But we will obviously have we will have the results tomorrow night. And as you can see, this bumps the Democrats up to 213, and so now they only need five Republicans to cross over. And this makes it easier for them legislative wise, because there are a couple of Republicans who may cross over to vote with them on some bipartisan legislation, perhaps that Joe Biden passes for the House. Some names that I could think of, some Republican names that I could think of crossing over, maybe Don Bacon, Nancy Mace, Mike Lawler. Point to, the point being that I'm trying to make here is that it does make things, easier for Democrats, in terms of passing legislation. They do not need as much bipartisan support. The House majority is already, so thin as it is. And this definitely does give them an advantage for the next for the rest of the Congress, since they will have the full 213 seats, unless another member resigns or dies or something happens. But for the foreseeable future, they will have that the House will be filled. So, we'll have all 435 seats filled, and so that will help Democrats, and they will be able to pass some more legislation. So that's really all I have to say about the House, election. Not super interesting, but I thought I'd just put it up there, put it out there. It makes it a little bit harder for Kevin McCarthy, to it makes it harder for the Republicans, to prevent, Democratic or bipartisan legislation, from being passed. I guess is, what I'm really trying to say here. Bipartisan legislation. I guess I'm sorry, bipartisan legislation. I mean, kind of democratic, stuff that's laws or proposals coming from President Biden, or that are mostly have Democratic support, but may get a couple of Republicans on board. That's kind of what I mean. But that's all I have to say about the House election. Let's get into what I really made this video about, and that is the California Senate election. So, I'm a bit late to this, but about, a week ago, I think it was on the 14th, so it was, yeah, it was last Tuesday, Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, who is 89 years old, pushing 90, she announced that she will be retiring and will not seek, I think it's a sixth term now. It would be her sixth term. So, this was not necessarily a super surprising, announcement. I think most people expected Feinstein to retire. I expected her to do so, but I thought that there was a chance that maybe she might decide to run for re-election. I'm glad that she isn't. I think as a liberal-minded person myself, I think that Democrats, and just in politics in general, I think that there should be an age limit as to how long politicians can be serving. I think that Feinstein has done a very good job, as a senator from California, in my own opinion. But I do think that it is time for her to go. And, I think that she, needs to, spend the rest of her days, in retirement. And I think, she's made the right decision. But that opens up the Democratic primary, or I guess the nonpartisan primary, because California, if you did not know, uses a primary system, in which it is not partisan. There are Democrats and Republicans all running on the same ballot, and whoever advances to the general election, whoever are the top two, uh, vote getters, I guess you could say, in the in the primary, in June, advance to the general election. And so basically, it's the most likely scenario. California is a safe blue state. It is 100% going to back another Democrat. The only I've heard some people say that if there are too many Democratic candidates, that split the vote, there is potential for two Republicans to advance to the general, and then they win the GOP would win the race that way. But it is highly unlikely that that happens, and realistically, Democrats are going to win California. So talking about who is going to be running in this race, we have Katie Porter, who is the representative from the 47th district down in Los Angeles, mostly Orange County, and she has been floated as a potential candidate for president. She was thought to be a potential candidate for this race, and she announced last month, before Feinstein announced her retirement. Same with Adam Schiff, who was on the January 6th committee, a very nationalized figure. He is running for Senate. So, and Barbara Lee is going to run for Senate as well. She is, she is, not super, she's, no spring chicken herself, but she, has said that she's going to run. She's only going to serve one term. She, has said that she's going to be a transitional senator. Um, you know, to make sure, to ensure, I guess, to win over support, and to ensure, to I guess, uh, comfort the voters or make them feel comfortable electing her because they wouldn't be dealing with the same situation with a super old senator. And Ro Khanna looks like that he may announce a bid. Lee hasn't announced a bid either, but she is expected. There have been outside sources that have, or inside sources, I guess, that have pointed to her telling. Pointed to her telling donors that she's going to run for Senate, but she's not made a formal announcement. And Ro Khanna, the representative from the 17th district, he looks like that he may end up running. So basically, it's going to be a really crowded Democratic primary field. And what's going to happen is most likely, I would say the most likely outcome that we're going to see is Katie Porter and Adam Schiff advance to the general election as two Democrats. And I think that personally, as a as someone who leans towards the Democratic Party, I do support Katie Porter in this race. I will go over my reasons in another video. Personally, I just think that she's you know, I like her personality, and I think she would make a really good senator. But regardless, Adam Schiff has a lot more endorsements, a lot of endorsements from Democrats, Democratic House members from California. Porter has the endorsement of Elizabeth Warren. But I will say that I think when it comes down to the electorate in California, I think that Porter is personally a stronger candidate for the suburbs. I think Schiff would do well, maybe in Los Angeles and, San Francisco, although I think, Barbara Lee might do well in the primary there. But in the general election, it's more likely than not going to be two Democrats against each other, Porter and Schiff. And if we look at, the very early polling, you have Porter and Schiff pretty much, in a dead tie. This is very early on, but yeah, it shows Lee, Ro Khanna, Porter, and Schiff all on the same ballot, and then a generic Republican, and you see the Porter and Schiff had the most support. So I think that they are the clear front runners on front runners in this race. And I do personally believe that Porter is a favorite. Would be the favorite. I think that she is more likely than Schiff. She's more likely to become, to succeed Feinstein than Schiff. But again, Adam Schiff also has, a good amount of name recognition, and I do think that that would allow him to, that could potentially allow him, to, become the next senator. But as the polling shows, again, this is very early on, but I do think that the polling right now from David Binder Research shows that Porter is ahead of Schiff in a general election matchup. So yeah, California definitely going to elect a Democratic senator. But it does, it is going to be an interesting primary to watch. I think that just like Michigan, it's going to be right now Democrats are going to have to defend two. Um, Open seats, of course, the other one being in Michigan, and that's going to be an interesting primer, an interesting primary. I will talk about that race eventually. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video on the California Senate race. I thought that it was, better to do this one now that we know Feinstein's not going to run. But yeah. So, I think that that's really all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button, share the video with someone who you think would enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out my non-political channel, Interactor127, and also my comrades channel, Growlings666. Thank you guys so much for watching. And before I go, you know. I want to also say that I'm aware that I said that Montana would be the next Senate race that I would cover, but I wanted to make this video about California, and plus this is mainly just about the primary and not the general election. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things politics. See ya.